Well, hey friends, how about a little peek into what's going on with the collective? We have several planets in retrograde, going into retrograde, and I'm seeing it. And let's see what the cards see and can show us about what's happening. I've put a card and a question in here for all the planets already retrograding, those coming into retrograde. And we'll focus on those questions. And I'll try not to bore you by talking about astrology because I'm actually a tarot reader, not an astrologer. I'm simply a watcher and a reader of astrology. So, the Maker Prince. This is a beautiful, earthy, Knight of Pentacles energy. I love this fairy. This is a she, S-I-D-H-E. And the Maker Prince is the Knight of Pentacles, the slowpoke knight. They are the one with a plan. They do all the steps. They do them one at a time. They do them in order. This particular deck, we get this beautiful, sweet she who is hanging out with some animals. Is really, look at that, just not even going anywhere, just sitting there. So it's a beautiful earthy energy. Underlying this is some pain, and I am definitely seeing this very different energy of soul loss, the Three of Swords going on out there. And in a way, what we could say is this plan has become necessary because of this, what we have gone through recently. And we have, what do we have in retrograde? Pluto, that transformative, painful Scorpio feeling. You can think of that as like the Streamer 3. It's a Three of Swords. It's your mind stabbing your heart obsessively, like it's bargaining with something. It's the bargaining part of grieving. It's that something has happened, it has broken your heart, but instead of moving on from it, you're just ruminating on it. And it hurts. And so what we can understand with this card is that it's our minds, it's our obsession that is causing us to hurt ourselves at a certain point. It's very hard to move on. And we can see this Maker Prince is not moving on. The Maker Prince is down on their knees in the woods with a tree. And this can be a very powerful kind of surrender. It's necessary for me to do that quite often, to go into the woods, actually with my little blonde dog, and hang out with some trees. You can see the full moon back there. There's an owl. What else we have? Somebody's peeking out from under this this tree here. Got somebody here. Yeah, going out under the full moon. Very earthy. Yeah, I feel that the reason why it's necessary to slow down and get down on the earth on your knees is that we have this pain. What is this? What have you lost recently? What is Pluto transformed, taken? Think about that. So let's ask some questions. Okay. I started this reading already. And I'm completely redoing it. So let's see what happens. Clean slate. Some of the same feeling. Different cards. Usually is what happens. Okay. Yes. So what has been transformed? The Two of Cups. It's a beautiful image of justice, the caduceus for healing. The Two of Cups. You and your soulmate. On one level, this is just your soulmate. On another level, on a more collective level, this is about justice. There's something that Pluto has been grinding through in Capricorn and transforming. And it's this Two of Cups idea. So we'll find out more about that. Okay, now there's a plan. What, you're reviewing it. What has the plan been? Oh, it's let's burn it down. Knight of Wands. It's the honey badger. He don't care. Or is it the Wolverine? I think it's the Chariot that's the honey badger in this deck. No, this is the Wolverine. Knight of Wands. Of course, I think of X-Men. Even though... Well, anyway, I think of X-Men, Wolverine, right? And this one is literally walking through fire. So we've been seeing lots of fires. We've been learning from our susceptibility to fires, to natural disaster. Saturn has been covering some ground. I think it takes 2 years for Saturn to go around. So that's what we are looking at the plan. And the plan looks like, let's burn it down. Okay? And then walk through the fire. And I can feel that there's a very Scorpio energy that comes from Pluto. Oddly coming in here with the Two of Cups, that this is what we've transformed. But the plan is the Knight of Wands. Okay, we'll find out more. So we're coming up on a reality check. And the reality check has to do with our concept of wish fulfillment. We see this peacock. It's 9 of Cups. This is about wish fulfillment, your cups, your emotions, feeling satisfied and content. It's also really a card about the peacock's feathers distracting you from the actual vulnerability of the peacock, right? Because the peacock scares people away by looking bigger than they actually are. And I grew up in Southern California, and there was a place called Steckle Park, and they had peacocks there. And if you've ever heard a peacock's call or cry, it's a pretty eerie sound. So when I look at this having to do with taking off your rose-colored glasses as Neptune goes retrograde at the end of this month, we're really talking about somebody that seems really powerful and bigger than they are being brought down to their real size. So I know what comes to my mind when I see that. So then we're going to need to be examining in July with Venus. We're already dealing with this Venus energy. Venus is in Leo and will be in Leo until October. And so we're feeling all of this, this charisma and this expansive lion-heartedness with Venus over there. Mars is over there, her counterpart. So we've already been feeling a lot of this. But let's see, what does the tarot want us to consider? The High Priestess. There is something unknown here. Now this card with the bat, and you can see that she has insight. It always makes me think of the Hangman as well. Like that you have to wait for what the Priestess knows here. It's about seeing things from a different perspective. So the High Priestess, though, is really about your intuitive knowing, secrets. What I'm getting from it is we're not yet to know what Venus is going to teach us about love, but we will clarify. Now, I'm also going to ask, because Venus will, about our finances. And what do we get? A Leo card, more Venus and Leo energy. The King of Wands, that leader, alpha energy. Really see the crow, which this artist loves, and speaks to the artist, and we can see that she has given the crow the insight, the crown, really, to kind of, I feel like this is what we're seeing here. There's the powers that be. I almost think of like big money, and then this little insight that comes in. Both these things seem mysterious to me still, but I'll clarify and see if I can see more about them. Now I have a card, and I'll pull it. about what all of this leads to in the future. And I'm gonna say, like, this is there are some cards that came up in the past reading, and then there is like a much less clear message. It seems a lot deeper. So what's the future here? What's this about? A little page of cups, a lightness, the capybara going for a swim. Page of cups. So if we've been in a heavy period, we can look forward to a lightness, right? And if we've been going through a feeling of soul loss that's like very dramatic, so dramatic that it's brought us to our knees in this very beautiful, simple, earthy way, that will lead us in the future to this page of cups. What's going on underneath? Couple things. Underneath we have Three of Wands. The Three of Wands is about a wish fulfillment, something that you manifested coming in, that you wait for. She's waiting. She's bringing in the help, right? So there's what you wished for coming in. It's Wands, it's your willpower. I always get a feeling about being helped, of divine help from that. We see the Emperor. There's something going on collective that has to do with structural power. Pluto in Capricorn tells us that. Saturn in retrograde tells us that. That's Aries energy. And then there is an Ace of Wands, a new passionate beginning. It's interesting how this image takes us into a city, cobwebs, fireflies, lilies blooming under the moon. There's something happening right next to the city that's quite beautiful. It's quite a flourishing despite the city, or within the city. I'm not a city person, so, city people might read that differently. I'm a country person. I like to live in the woods. So when I see this deck and the way she often gives us these urban scenes with a deer coming through or a wolf, and here we have something growing. And the Ace of Wands means a new idea, a new inspiration, and a new beginning. So goes so beautifully with that page of cups. All right, well, let's clarify. Let's see if we can get anything coherent from this at all. Very often I'm doing these readings and I can't see it till I watch it, if it makes any sense to you. Usually it makes sense, but the way I feel right now is like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what's going on. I asked a lot of questions. Much of it's in the future, which I don't typically ask about. It's like a review of the past and a look to the future, and I feel disoriented. Like, where's the present? The present is that slowpoke knight on their knees in the woods with their dog, trying to deal with this soul loss. Let's see. All right, Two of Cups. So this is what has already been transformed. There's some kind of soulmate connection, love, justice. It's very beautiful. There it is again, the Two of Cups. Why did I get that twice? I always think I get it twice because I've not seen something. Let's keep looking. We're working with others, building something real out of a vision. Everybody has something to bring to the project. And then there's a Five of Pentacles. Feeling of being left out. It's a very opposite feeling of these Twos of Cups and the Three of Pentacles. What we've been transforming is that justice and collaboration and building has excluded some, and that needs to get revised. And I agree. There are people left out of justice. There are people who are left out of the project. And this card always makes me think of the sacred mountain that I live under here. It is a mountain sacred to 14 native tribes here in Arizona. So, Pluto, reviewing justice. I guess, let me just say what I'm trying not to say, which is we have a really big guy who's on trial. And I don't personally believe justice is going to happen. So let's see. We'll see. Okay. I feel like some get off and some get harsh justice. Some get put in a cage and others flaunt their ability to break all the rules. And this is a very strangely beautiful way of talking about that. And what I think it tells me is that there's a part of me that identifies with justice, I get it. I get justice. And that's true. I do think the justice system will work for me. I haven't had my heart broken by it yet. I haven't felt like this, left out. It's not that I haven't personally suffered injustice. It's just my orientation towards it is that it's for me, I'm concerned about the people that don't get it. But I can tell by the cards and how beautiful they are and how they kind of speak to my the optimist in me, that I feel and I have felt that and believed in justice. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. This is our plan. Whose plan? Feels like the planet's plan. Let's burn it down. And the Wolverine's like, I'll just walk through the fire. That's a pretty intense plan. Let's see. Review of the plan. Use your willpower. Justice again. Justice. They're conspiring together with the truth. You can see their little tails overlapped. This is about seeming oppositions, collaborating. This card in this deck has been revised. The artist has put the earth right there and has rainbow colored all of this. I like the black and whiteness of it, but I think the artist, the revision that the artist gave us is important now. The card. There's temperance. There's some waiting. There's some alchemizing. There's fire and water. And the 10 of Pentacles, earth, energy, wealth, abundance. This is a message about justice. It's about justice, and it's about disparity in justice. And it's the kind of message that's about being brought to our knees. And luckily we can see that there is divine help, but this is a difficult time that we're in. I can see it in my people around me, in my community. This is a hard time. So this is what it feels for some people, because it's not a pleasant feeling of like, oh, who are you? What are you trying to do here? This is about coming into a justice system that doesn't work for you. It's conspiring. But Earth is involved in this this revision of the plan. So we see Saturn going backwards, recovering ground that has been covered recently. There's a wait. You have to wait. And this is definitely this kind of chariot energy that we're in the season of Cancer. There's a lot of momentum and a desire and an urge to move forward. But then we have to wait. We have to go slowly, like the Slowpoke Knight. We actually have to stop altogether and deal with this before we go forward. So maybe if your plan literally involves burning it down, temper that. And Earth is involved in this. Okay, reality check. Can we have more of a reality check? This made me think of the person who's dealing with some legal issues right now. Lots of power in the facade, but then really you just have like, you know, a goose-sized bird who's looking like a giant bird, big as a lion. So something about the contrast between the bird and the lion, and the way that the lion is kind of faded out in this card. The crown. The lion feels like a ghost. Okay, well, let's look at this Nine of Cups. So what is our reality check here? This is a reality check. It's like, what's the Tower? Father of Swords. There's a truth. It is rainbow colored. It speaks of justice again. The way that the truth ought to be used with the heart. The consideration of the heart. The bird again. The Lovers, a choice. It is about rising to your highest self. It can be about true love, soulmate connection. Again, when we have the Two of Cups already that we've looked at twice, and then justice. I want to read it as a choice. And the Moon, secrets, moon work. Again, we don't really get to see this very clearly. So the Nine of Cups, the reality check about wish fulfillment. So if your wish fulfillment has been this other person, this other, like the Lover speaks to this. Like, so if you've been focused on that, now the Nine of Cups is very much about individual wish fulfillment. And I've always said, like, the Nine of Cups tells you, like, before you get to go on to a 10, to the family, community, other people involved in your emotional satisfaction, you got to nail down, I satisfy myself. A part of what you need to learn how to do is to use the truth instead of the facade. And when you can do that, yeah, it's like this. So if we say the Lovers is a choice, it's between using the truth and not telling secrets, the facade, to be mysterious. So you need to choose between keeping yourself in private and isolated and content on your own, and holding the truth and being brave enough to be authentic. That's what the Father of Swords comes in as, authentic. There's all these birds. Yeah, you have to choose between opening up in your beautiful rainbow self and keeping yourself hidden. And in a funny way, the distraction of the peacock's tail, like, that's the beautiful part of the peacock. They have these beautiful shiny green or purple bodies, but this facade hides you. So this is very much about coming out as yourself or not. It's a choice. So that's the reality check. No one knows you unless you let them. And when you don't let people know you, you end up alone. And if you're satisfied with being this facade, then okay, that's okay. You know, we're just reviewing, we're just looking at things here when we go into retrograde season. It's just like, do I like this? Do I not? Is this working for me? Is it not? With the Two of Cups, we can see that there's a system of justice, there's a collaboration, but the problem with it is some are still left out. With the plan, with this Knight of Wands plan, there's a kind of black and white thinking that is involved in, you know, where you don't consider the other human, and so you just burn it down because you don't see the human in your opposition. You don't even recognize the value of your planet. That's what this tells us. Like, this is our planet. It's a living being in and of itself. There's lots of life on it. So what we have to do is we actually have to take the time to temper this. So in temperance, you see the process of alchemizing. It's represented here by pouring water on the flames. Right, so tempering your black and white thinking. The Knight of Wands wants to go so fast, it doesn't care. Let's just go, let's just do this. And temperance is like, slow down, slow down. And then there's something here about all of this so far. It's very much also about a choice of community or isolation. And in some way, like if you're having community and there's somebody feeling like this, or if you're having justice and somebody's feeling left out, abandoned, neglected, betrayed, brokenhearted, that's not community. That's not adequate. And then we get this thing about, like, if you want to be this peacock, you want to put up this big facade and be mysterious about who you really are, you can, but you end up alone. Whereas, like, the courage and the heart of the Father of Swords with this big rainbow sword, that to me, the rainbow speaks of coming out. It speaks of coming out as your true self, whatever that is. And so that's what the Father of Swords is here to tell you, is that that's also a choice, to let people know you. And when they do know you, yeah, that's what this is, this card here. I'm going to let myself be helped by others. I'm going to help others. I'm not going to just help myself. Now, the Emperor is also kind of telling us about this King of Swords feeling, right? There's the owl, the truth. Emperor is very much about structural power. So it's like if you have all of this raw energy, and the card that comes before is the Empress, like just this creative, earthy abundance. I love it. Let's stop there. The Emperor provides structure, much like the Maker Prince, right? There's some kind of, we need to take time to plan this so that what we're doing is worth doing. Okay. So there's something mysterious. This is more mystery, secret, but you might also have an intuitive knowing about the way that love fits into this. And I'm going to say that, why do I say that about love? Well, because I'm asking about love here, and then we get the High Priestess. It's like a big mystery, but it's also about what you intuitively know. And it might feel kind of mushy and lame or inarticulate. And let's see if we can find out more about this High Priestess, what you intuitively know, or what remains a mystery to you. I like to do a High Priestess reading on this channel sometimes, about what you know, but you dream about, or what's in your gut, and that's what the High Priestess, you might know what that is. So we get a Two of Pentacles, infinite, balancing, very practical, earthy energy. It's also, with this butterfly, it's very transformative, suggests transformation. There's our Slowpoke Knight, the Son of Pentacles, right? Our she that is sitting on their knees with their dog under this tree. That's the same card, Son of Pentacles. I always think it's a very stubborn little buck. Just puts its head down and goes. And Judgment, Ascension. Right. So when it comes to love, there's a lot here about balance, justice, equality in this whole reading. In some way, the kind of just the two of us, nuclear family, conventional, traditional love is being challenged here. Why do I say that? I say that because there's people that are feeling left out. And there's this, some are getting better justice than others message in this reading. So then when I ask about love, there's something that we intuitively know. And it's really simple, but it also feels weird and vague because it's under the High Priestess. But it's really simple and practical. If we want to see this transformation, we have to see this infinite balance. And the rainbow color, again, in this deck speaks to me of justice. It speaks to me of identifying and showing up as your true self with integrity. Son of Pentacles is always about having integrity, of doing it right and taking the time to do it right. And when you do that, you get to ascend. You get to go to the next level of the game of life. We're all doing, this is a reading about the collective, right? We have to do this together. I have had the feeling that there's a way that I can orient myself in reality where I feel free of anxiety. Like I've truly accepted the things I can't change. And it gives me a feeling of freedom. And I like the feeling of freedom. I want to feel free, but I also feel increasingly how important it is that others, the earth, that we get there, we all get there, right? So it's this tension between, well, I can get there if I were God, that kind of feeling. And then the feeling of, okay, I got to slow down. I got to take enough time to include, to connect, to do it right, to know I'm doing it right, to communicate. The swords, the Father of Swords versus the Moon, the High Priestess, there's something here about kind of having settled for not communicating with some party in this. And I'm going to say this with a collective reading. You're going to know who it is you absolutely refuse to communicate with, to work with, who you don't care, maybe. You've justified, because there's all this justice, Two of Cups justice energy. You may have justified excluding. You're able to do it because you have this righteous, this truth. That just comes in here. I'm going to say you actually don't get to ascend that way. You got to have a bigger concept of who your people are. It's like 99.9% of them or something like that. No. Okay. So let's see here. What about the financial? King of Wands, this lion kind of fading out, this bird pecking at its head. Leo energy, what is this? What's going on? This is weird. It's a weird reading. It has a happy ending with the Page of Wands. The Page of Cups and the Ace of Wands. There's help. There's a lot of pain. It's like the pain is what needs to be examined in order, and that's why we have to slow down. Like it's coming out of pain, of ideas that hurt our hearts. This is what our problem is. That's why we need to slow down and get on our knees. Okay. Communication and action under the King of Wands. The Devil. This is how the financial plays into this. Let's see. One more. Wow. 8 of Swords. Feeling trapped. Like all of this flight energy, and you can't fly because your concepts have you trapped. So a real problem here in the financial sector. It's where a lot of people feel like a lot of power and agency. There's a lot of talk about it. But what it's somehow, this is the devil in the details. This is the problem. The devil's here. The devil is just what's going to defeat this all. And the reason why we're stuck is this, and this is a card about being stuck. And the swords, you know, you can actually fly out of here, but you know, it does look kind of prickly for your beautiful butterfly wings to fly out of there. So it's a state of mind that I'm stuck and I can't change this. These are truths. And so action coming from our lower, our desires that say, oh, I don't care about others. I don't care what's right. You know, I can't help it. This is how humans always do stuff. This is up for a challenge here coming up. Okay, the future. This is a weird reading. It's really an uncomfortable time. That's why I wanted to do this reading, but I'm sorry, it's a very weird reading. The whole time I'm doing this, I'm like, this feels crazy. It feels like it's outside of me. That's sometimes more the case than others. Okay, the future. Something ends. All of the thoughts. These are your swords. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. 3 of Swords. Your mind, your swords, stabbing your heart. Look, these birds represent your thoughts. Feathers and swords, air, suit of air, swords. They've torn the heart asunder. This is a conflict between your heart and your concepts. In the future, they're over. It's dead. It's stabbed 10 times. It's over. These paradigms are done. Good. It looks really horrible and painful, right? It is. It's not comfortable to have all of your ideas, your ideologies changed. It doesn't feel good when you're having your 2 of Cups day and you're just like going on your romantic honeymoon fantasy or real life experience, and then you walk by somebody and they're like that. Or they're hustling you on the street because they're starving. Like, that's a hungry person in your utopia. That's not adequate, right? That's what needs to happen to that utopia. It's a limited concept, right? It's this peacock utopia. It's not enough. It needs to end. When you end it, you get to be the Page of Cups. What do we have? The Empress, Earth herself, abundance, sovereignty, the feminine, generous, nurturing, soft power. Under the Moon. One more. Okay, there's more work to be done. An 8 of Cups, it just means that there's a cup missing. What I actually get here, okay, so like this card, what it means is, oh, I gotta walk away from here. There's that mountain again. There's a missing cup. It's the last cup you need to get here, right? This card is followed by this card. So in the future, like this one has that cup. This is an intense future. It's very stark. It's in the dark, it's under the moon, there's a lot of mystery about it. There's the 10 of Swords, which is a difficult card to look at. This deck in general is like, it's the first deck I ever got. Some of the cards in it, I was just terrified of. Oh my God, what if I get that? What if I get that? What's on the bottom here? One of those cards that I was terrified of getting. But also the Chariot. Here we are, we're in the season of Cancer. Chariot is Cancer's card. We have this beautiful horse. We have the solar eclipse. We have the blending of dark and light. The Pentacle, which makes me think of this Maker Prince. In a way, I see the Knight of Pentacles is a messenger, is often riding a horse. Here's our horse. This one is not riding a horse. This one is on their knees. There's a kind of simpatico for me between the Pentacle, the riderless horse, the Chariot. It always has, in the traditional decks, it has this beautiful being riding a black and a white being, a sphinx, two horses, depends on the deck. So that it's the bringing together of the polarity, the moon, the dark and the light, the sun and the moon. I know recently learned too much about the Chariot. We have the Mother of Wands here also. She is protecting her eggs. She is the queen of the law of attraction. She's very powerful in bringing in that which she focuses on. Always reminds me that it's good that I'm an optimist. If your head's here, see what I mean about this deck? Nine of Swords, anxiety, insomnia. It's our concepts, it's our paradigms. These are our problem. We're committed to them. The Devil here, this adorable goat with his feet on fire. It's trouble, a little trouble. It's pretty serious in this reading. You know, we're trapped in the idea that this is how it's always going to be, so we might as well participate in it. We're stuck. We can't fix the problem that these cards are telling us about. Yeah. So, the Chariot, the Mother of Wands. There is a new idea. It feels like we're still reviewing recent destruction, right? Because we have gone through a lot of change. It's felt tiring. At times it's felt inspiring. So we're reviewing that. We want to go forward, but we're going backwards first. We're looking at history. We're looking at what we manifested. We're looking at how we asserted our will. We're still reviewing and challenging what we think makes us happy. We're basically, on a very fundamental level, looking at who we are. And that our idea of who we are is our very problem. So we're dealing with how our concepts, our swords, hurt us. They leave people out, but they also hurt us. Like, there's not a Five of Swords here, but there is a Five of Swords feel about this whole reading, which is, it doesn't feel good to win the wrong way. It feels like I can't even enjoy what I worked so hard for because somebody's complaining. It can feel like that. Quit ruining my party, right? That can be the feeling. But I actually think the positive story here is that that's good. It's good that you can't just enjoy your selfish little Nine of Cups happiness. It's good that somebody broke all these cups and said, bullshit, I'm out. This isn't enough, right? This is us in the future going, all right, you're right. This is what we want for everyone. We want to be the sweet little capybara with the Ace of Cups and our little friend swimming around contentedly in our feelings. Happy, light feeling. That's there for us in the future only if we quit resisting what is impossible not to see, which is it's just not fair for everybody. It's not, you shouldn't be able to enjoy yourself until we get this right. And I'd say the planet, the collective, is just over the excuses and the ridiculous strategies like restricting what people read, restricting people's rights. I mean, these laws in the United States that are stripping women of the right to an abortion, trans policies against young people who know they want gender affirming healthcare. Like, there's all of this stupidity right now happening in our political sphere in America, and I'm aware globally as well. It's like the last gasp of people who will ultimately just fuck the whole planet up. And why? Because they don't want to feel uncomfortable about how they have something and they're letting somebody else have something, and they have this fantasy of wealth and power, that there isn't enough to go around because some people are so piggy. I'm just ranting here. I figure if anybody stuck around after this reading, like, I don't know. It's a weird reading. I'm feeling this lately, and it's driving around my life, my world, feeling of like freedom and beauty, and yet so much unaddressed. And it's just like, I keep waiting my whole life. I've just been this kid that saw how it should be, and it just wasn't that way. And then it's very confusing that everybody doesn't agree with me that it should be this way. So I know that many of us do agree. That's not good enough. And in some way, you have to live alongside of knowing it's not good enough, and do what you can to make it better in your lifetime. And the thing I think that's hardest, that's coming up in this reading, and it's hard for me too, is like people kind of suck. It's hard to trust people, and it's hard to work with them, and the chances of them betraying you, I'm highly conscious of that today. I'm so conscious of it today, but not because of it's just, I just decided not to notice that and just go do things by myself for a long time. That's how this reading speaks to me. So let's quit disappointing one another and being selfish, and take up this challenge. We're being challenged right now by the cosmos, by the planet, by history, by nature, in our individual lives. We're being challenged to change fundamentally what it means to be us, and the very ideas that we consider to be like what it means to be human, what matters, what's right, how to do stuff. Like, let's take it and look at it all. And retrograde season is a time to review and reflect and revise. It's all the art. It's all the redoing stuff. So that's what the cards and I have to say to you today, my friends. And I hope you get something out of this reading. And I totally respect if it's not adequate for you, and if it bothers you in some way. But it's a gift of love to you, this little rant. The cards always have a way of unsettling me, and then to be the carrier of the message is both a privilege and, yeah, it's a privilege, but it's not always an easy one. So, I don't know why I don't want to break the connection with you, but I'm going to push stop and wish you a beautiful day.